This happened in the year 2000. My friends and I were still teenagers then, the youngest 16, the oldest 18. This particular day, we decided we wanted to hike up into the hills to smoke some weed. Looking back on it, those would be some of the best days of my life. Escaping my overbearing parents, smoking weed, swimming, hanging out with my friends. Things were much simpler then. It was 6 of us, 3 boys and 3 girls. And we decided to head to this beautiful wooded area outside of Oregon. People tended to call it a mountain, but it was more of a hill. Nonetheless, it was absolutely beautiful. That day, we all arrived in this little white sedan, stacked on top of each other like sardines. We parked in a parking lot, then walked over to the river. On the way down to the river, there's this little small bridge, and it crosses a creek. And I want you to remember that because it's important for later. We spend the entire day out there, swimming and smoking and swimming, just being typical teenagers. Just as the sun begins to set, the munchies start to kick in, and we realize that we have no snacks. So we decide to call it a day. Now we start walking back to the parking lot, and we're moving along this dirt path. And it takes about 20 minutes to get from the river back to that little footbridge I was telling you about earlier. All of us are on the bridge. And looking out, you can see this vast field between the bridge and the wooded mountains. That's when we notice a huge dog near the tree line, about 150 yards away. This thing looked huge, just sitting there, not doing anything aggressive, but this was an abnormally huge and shaggy dog. Now we're halfway across that bridge, when one of the girls starts screaming. This dog is now standing on its hind legs. And in seconds, it's moved what seemed like 50 yards, just as we turned our attention away from it. And God, whatever this thing was, it was fast, quiet, and stealthy. We take off running, get to the car, and pile up into the sedan. And then it happens. The whole cliche thing when you get in the car. My boy Brian is so nervous that he can't get the key in the ignition. He drops it on the floor. While he's digging down on the floor to pick up the keys, I'm looking up, and now this thing is at the edge of the parking lot, standing on 2 legs, looking at us. The girls are screaming, and I take a second look at this thing, and it has this kind of snarl on its face, where it's showing its teeth, its lips rolled up. And after what felt like forever, Brian gets the car started, and we peel out of there. Now, I've told a lot of people about this encounter, and everyone has always told me that they thought this was a bear. But I've seen a bear before, and this was a freaking dog. A black, shaggy furred dog standing on 2 legs.